Hey guys, today I was going to answer a question that I get asked often by the media and by dealers, which is the state of manufacturing of scooter OEMs, specifically Italian manufacturers, and even the MRP parts, where they come from and their quality. And that got me thinking about the Indy show this year and something I saw. So I'm going to post this on my blog and hopefully you'll answer some questions. This year, one of the first things I saw was this scooter. And we'll get back to that in a few minutes, but take a good look at this scooter and remember it until the end of the video. Now back to the parts. Our parts come from many different sources. Our MRP parts are sourced in Taiwan, China, Spain, and lately we've been manufacturing a lot here in the United States. We're trying to manufacture as much as we can, putting together little kits for our racers. We're making our own cable kits and carb kits here in Miami, which is something we're pretty proud of, that we're manufacturing some of our own stuff. What we're mostly known for is our catalog and pictures of cool girls on bikes and racing. We were the first in the United States to be racing with Chinese bikes and importing and manufacturing parts for them about 3 years ago, and for being partners within the industry with other companies, which leads us to the OEMs such as Vespa and Aprilia. But what do those brands even mean anymore? I mean, Nissan manufactures in the US, so does Honda. And that's something this year's Piaggio meeting, when I went there, I discovered upon talking to the Piaggio management from Italy. And since their acquisition with Aprilia,
Jincheng, in order to build up over there this
the
assembly.
Jincheng Scarabell 200.
This is the only model they're producing?
Yeah, Jincheng is the only one.
So that was the big thing a few years ago, is that Aprilia, Vespa, it meant Italian. That's no longer the case. This Fly 50 here in the picture, it's made by Zhongsheng Group. The Aprilia 200 we were looking at is made by Jincheng. Both companies are in the US market now with their own brands. And if you walk down the aisle and you look at all the different Aprilia, Piaggio, and Vespa models, more and more of these bikes are sourced with materials from different countries, not just from the European Union. You're talking about parts that come from all over the world. This is one of the things I mentioned to Colomino, the CEO of Piaggio, this year. And not to take his word for it, I went ahead and bought an Aprilia Scarabeo, made in Italy, or assembled in Italy, as we like to call it these days, and took it apart and verified that a lot of the parts were not of Italian origin. Some of them come from a totally different location, one that I couldn't even believe. But we'll get to that in a second. The point is, it's like Ford, Nissan, Honda, they all manufacture and assemble in different countries with parts from other countries. So where are these parts really from? Well, to find some of the Vespa parts and the Piaggio parts that we're importing, we had to go to a little country called Vietnam earlier this year. And in Vietnam, you can watch some of these SYM dealers put the bikes together with the parts in about 10 seconds. This is one of the hottest markets in the world. Compared to Italy's 1 million units a year, Vietnam is about 5 to 6. And all the parts are coming from there, so we, MRP, had to go there.
Here we are in the city of Hanoi, where the scooters rule.
Yes, Vietnam. The largest Vespa plant in the world is now in Vietnam. And a lot of the parts for the Vespas are going to start coming from Vietnam. Not China, but Vietnam. And that's why we, MRP, had to go there to find those parts. Sometimes I hear from consumers and dealers and they say, ooh, that's sacrilege. Parts from Vietnam, parts from China, that's not Italian, that's not Vespa. I'm not saying that because it's a bad thing. I'm saying it because it's a good thing. And I bring you back to this scooter, the one I saw at the beginning of the dealer expo this year. Well, I have a very unique story with this scooter. Let me tell you. I was only 19 when I first saw this bike, but it wasn't made in China at that point. It was made in Italy, and it had a different name. It was called the Yesterday. And like all things Italian, it was still made in Italy. Yes, that's me at 20, the importer from Malaguti scooters, and we sold over 6,000 of these babies in the United States. Malaguti, made in Italy since 1930, the company with over 70 years of experience, tried to break into the US market, and due to the high cost of manufacturing in the euro, despite having people like Shannon Miller and celebrities and being featured in the Dockers or Levi's commercials, being in with the Playmates and Hugh Hefner, it didn't matter. The realities of the world economy do not allow certain products to be manufactured in Italy, no matter how good. Something that some of the Italian companies have had to learn the hard way. Companies like Yamaha have adapted, and they manufacture some of their scooters in Mexico. They assemble them there. Even Polini assembles their parts or puts together their parts in Taiwan. Companies like Vectrix, it's an American company, and the factory's in Poland. and some of it's assembled in the US with Chinese parts. Schwinn, an icon of American bicycles, their scooters are made in Asia. And Lambretta, a symbol of all things Italian, are importing really good scooters. I've tested a few of these. These are really good scooters, and they're made in Asia. And it doesn't matter because they're good and they work and people like them. And that to me is the logical progression of manufacturing. The fact that Lambretta can come back from the dead. Even Benelli, which closed 2 years ago and was sold to Qiangyang in China, these award-winning designs are coming back to America under the Andretti badge. This would not be possible should OEMs not be able to source and manufacture in other countries. Italjet, back from the dead. I think this is something to be excited about, that Diamo USA is bringing these in. I mean, the dragster will be made, and it might even be made with better quality, with better parts, at a better price that more people can afford, which will mean more people in America will be going out on scooters. And the same applies to MRP. We manufacture as much as we can in America, but we're always constantly sourcing. So we're not just in China or Taiwan. We're going to Vietnam. We're following Vespa's trend. And this this stance on global sourcing applies to all companies, small and large. I think this is all something to be excited about. When I talk to the media or the dealers, I think this is a great state of manufacturing for the OEMs. The fact that they can be competitive at a global level, and even companies like MRP, we will find these parts and bring them to the market like we've been doing for the last 4 years. And we were the first with these racing parts for the growing scooter market in the US. So I hope this was informative and answered some of the questions about where the parts and where the bikes are being assembled these days by all the manufacturers. And if you still have some questions and you'd like to reach me, you can visit us at www.mrp-speed.com.